Yeah, where would you start? Apart from the Bible.
Right. Like I was saying, so I lost you a bit there, but like I was saying, a constitution or a constitutional basis or rules, for them to be rules, for them to be guidelines, we need to build a consensus around them. But how do I present to an audience that doesn't know rules?
That's
an audience
right.
that does not have rules.
Yeah, you are in the animal. Yeah, you are in the animal kingdom now.
Yes. How do I bring animals together to start building a consensus, to start building
or how do I provoke animals?
It's a bit of a complex situation because then you are starting at zero.
Yeah, that's where we want you to start.
So probably it becomes a bit of a challenge there because.
So maybe let me start by me stepping into your shoes now. You can then interview me, and then I will try to speak in the ordinary but complicated English.
Well, I know you love complicated English. I know at a certain point I was going to get you with your complicated English. But no, I understand what you're saying. So, probably you, from a perspective of the presenter to the audience, how would you then approach me and tell me about a constitution?
So, good evening. Welcome to it's an open session where we are discussing ideas, insights, knowledge, and experiences that can help give us a basis for which we can all unite and rally around. One such idea is called the rule of law. What is the law? And why is it so important in the affairs of human beings? When we look at the animal kingdom, we see life. But there are no rules. There's no law. There's no wealth. There is no preservation of value. There's no exchange of value. The bigger animal will get its way. Not because it's rational, it's legal, but because that is the law. The law is written by those who are powerful enough to use it. When we look at the affairs of human beings, we know that we need to aspire to something, to build value. We work for something in life and build value that we preserve, either in cash or in physical objects that we hold dear to. We call it my home, my car, my phone, my clothes. And all these self-centered attributes are preserved for human beings. That what I have acquired ought to be mine, that nobody must appropriate what is mine for themselves. So when you talk about the rule, we then talk about property, wealth, happiness. What may make me happy need not make my neighbor happy. I may actually want to buy a helicopter and somebody says I must buy 20 cars or 20 wheelbarrows or 20 tractors. But it's my property and therefore it's subject to choice. So how do we build this society of knowledge? Knowledge that we are not the same as animals. We are creatures that can govern themselves, self-govern, and put rules, limitations that we all must abide by and must follow. So if that is the case, then you are in the right conversation. Those who are interested in understanding why we have laws, why we have rules, and why if somebody lives above the rules, then everybody is exposed. So this is my introduction to a complex subject that was ignited not by me, by those who came before us. They were philosophers, they were men and women of wisdom. It's a pity in our generation. Those men and women of freedom are missing. How do we create them? How do we celebrate them? That is our business. So, Mr. Gono, I don't know whether I did justice to give a frame.
To a great extent you did, although yeah, you are looking us to protect you, but no, I think you did well. You explained it in when
Hello?
a good starting point that we had. Yes, can you hear me?
No, I can hear you now.
Yes, like I was saying, the framework was proper.
All right. So at least you...
It makes a lot of sense, yes.
All right. So you can then ask a question arising from the...
Yes, the presentation itself, the way that you presented it from a perspective of someone who already knows the laws, someone who already in the world. Now my question is, like you asked, this was created by people who came before us, and those people are not there, and the question now is, how do we create them? How do we create a society, a just society that is observant of individuals' liberties? Like you said, if I want to own my own property, I should own my own property and own it on my terms, in a way that does not infringe the next person's rights, in a way that does not affect the next person in a negative way. So my question is, that sounds to me like a perfect world, but do we have a perfect world?
Okay, I never spoke to a perfect world. What I'm saying is that we are not animals. We are human beings. And when we are human beings, we put rules that suit us, not anybody else. If we say, thou shalt not kill, we also are reminded that there are societies where killing is celebrated. A human being, there are people, other human beings. So we write our own rules. There's a question, they were foreigners, they should be celebrated in their own countries. I'm saying there is no foreigner who can tell me what my interest. Because that foreigner must vacate the foreign address where he may be to come to live with me and then tell me what I should not do and can do. And we are talking about principles of how a human society can be developed, can be built, and how civilization can evolve. That some of the people we call developed, they also pass through the same phases other people are passing through. But they made choices. They wanted to go to point A, B. They found a quicker way to get there. But it doesn't mean those with slower legs cannot get there. It means I will get there earlier than others. But it doesn't stop somebody from getting there. And if I don't need to get to point B, I don't need a vehicle to take me there. And we are saying, should we be a society of rules? Already we have constitutions. Yes, why write a constitution and you don't intend to obey it? Mr. Gono, do you think it's sensible for somebody to accuse other people for bringing foreign ideas when you don't have your own ideas?
Ideas must come from the host first. And I'm in total agreement with you there that we need to structure our own ideas, rules. And like you have said, we already have those rules. Now the question is, we already have those rules, we already have those constitutions. The question now is, are we living them?
Yeah.
So I'm in agreement with you that the framework that you are putting, I'm totally in agreement.
So if we agree that we need to have rules of our own, and then we inherited a system that may have been unfair, unjust, but yet we adopted some of the institutions that informed that unjust system, including amending the laws, repealing laws, and writing our own supreme law for ourselves. And the question is, why have brilliant words, Bill of Rights in a constitution, yet the reality is that people have not.
Well, as an activist myself, I can only thank you for explicitly expressing that we have bills of rights. We have the Bill of Rights in our constitution. It's written in some very sophisticated English. And the truth is that we are not living it. I'm once again in agreement with you that rules are there, but they are not being observed.
And where does awareness start? That if we have rules, then we are all obliged to live below the rules. Where do we start that conversation?
Thank you very much. I think that's where we are now. If it's the history behind this conversation, how it started, how we got to end up having this conversation the way that we are having it now, it's all out of speaking out. It's all out of using the available forums for, as ways of engaging, as ways of connecting the world, as well as sharing ideas. So yes, a lot of advocacy is to and is being done in relation to trying to raise awareness around issues of law, issues of constitution, issues of better world, issues of governance, issues of. So it's a complex society that we are in, because we are in this situation, because there are laws, in as much as those that are enjoying it's working to their advantage. There is also us.
Okay. Can you hear me?
Yes. But with I'm really struggling, but I can.
All right, now I can hear you. Yeah, you can go ahead. Hello? Hello?
Where can you hear me?
I can hear you.
Yes. We have two different categories where we have people who are on the other side of the river who are comfortable with a society where there are rules, but the rules are not followed because the non-compliance of rules is to their beneficial. Then we have us who are on the other side of the river who feel infringed because the rules are not being followed. The rules are not being observed. There is some that are in an animal kingdom. There are elephants who are using their big frames to rule ants. And if an ant doesn't do what an elephant feels like is right, an elephant then steps on the ant. So it's a complex society that we live in, and it's a difficult one. But being small as we are, we try to organize ourselves in a manner that we all start advocating towards issues of consensus building around enforcing the implementation of the rules that an ant and an elephant agreed to.
Yeah.
We are in a Zimbabwe. We are in a Zimbabwe that went for a referendum and adopted a constitution a few years ago. The elephant, the lion, and a hare all agreed that this is the guiding document that is going to breathe life to our rules. But we are now in a situation.
Hello, yeah, go ahead.
Yes, but we are now in a situation where there is now selective application of rules.
Yeah.
So as a starting point, small, little as we are, what we can probably do is to think around ways of coming together, advocating, forcing, finding ways of ensuring that every animal in the kingdom observes the rules that we all agreed to, that we all signed up to as a first step. So there are issues of advocacy, issues of organizing ourselves, issues of exploring the available channels, forums.
Okay, but do you agree that there is need to raise awareness of whether rules should govern the affairs of human beings, or the law of the jungle ought to be the law for humans?
I lost you a bit there.
I'm saying, do you agree
the law of the jungle?
that wherever human beings are, we must build rules around ourselves to deliver the promise of a better life? Or we can be animals where there's no wealth, but there's life?
My thinking was that when we went for a referendum in 2013, we all had that general consensus that for a Zimbabwe to move forward, it needs a set of rules. So my belief or my understanding was that every citizen 18 years and above understood the role of a constitution, understood the role of rules in any society. Yes, the unanimous voting and adoption of a new document, a new set of rules to govern us going forward. That to eliminate rules of the jungle.
Okay, and we are joined by Amai Boy. Good evening.
Good evening, Mr. Mawere. How are you? Good evening. Is it Mr. Gono on the line?
Yes, good evening. How are you?
How are you, Wagono? Ndimi vamwe chete navagono vemazero akawanda here kana kuti muri
Please, I beg of you, don't associate me with one of the men who dragged Zimbabwe into a. One thing that I don't like about that man is that bill that he introduced, the Reserve Bank Data Assumption Act, where citizens were forced to pay a debt that they didn't even know.
So rules. So the origins of your name is a rule breaker, or he makes the rules as he goes, and the people that are supposed to oppose to the rules, that they just complain, but at the same time paying quietly, but complain away from the media and away from everything else. The network.
I think he's okay. Mr. Gono was under lockdown.
I lost you there, Mr. Mawere.
Yeah,
I lost you for about.
Miriam was saying the name Gono is famous for undermining a rule-based society, and therefore every time she hears the name Gono,
I was in the middle of,
and every time she that name associates it with something that can happen in the animal kingdom.
Which is very true. And I was in the middle of distancing myself as far as I can from the Gono that gave Zimbabwe a authority.
Yeah.
But do you think, Mr. Gono, that with all these rules being broken to our faces by whoever is in authority at that particular time, if that is what is happening in the case of Gono, we've seen today's judgment in the case of loans in US dollars versus settling them in RTGS, do you think the people ought to be held accountable by somehow, because evidently this keeps happening?
Well, the reason that some of us laymen is we are in terms of issues around the law and how the law actually operates, the basis to which we ended up taking up activism was, despite our very limited knowledge and experience in matters of the law, we felt that something is definitely wrong. Mm-hmm. We felt there is a huge gap between the laws that were adopted and the way that they are being implemented. So it's something that society needs to be alive to.
But so where is... Sorry, go ahead, Mr.
You touched on the judgment today. Mm-hmm. Do you know who is representing the applicants?
I haven't. I've actually requested fuller documents. I'm only settling down to do to catch up with everything, but I don't have the full scope. I just got the.
Maybe we can show it on the screen.
Please do. And
so that we can learn as we are progressing.
I'm happy with that.
Sometimes people talk sometimes talk of judgments without knowing what the judgment says.
Right.
And we have seen a lot of prophets informed by the same principles that they want to push for the rest of society. So it comes on the screen. Okay,
While the judgment is coming on the screen, Mr. Mawe, can I also come in a bit there?
Okay, you can come in.
Actually, just to demonstrate the society that we are living in. While Miriam there was concerned with the judgment today that she's talking about, I don't even know about the judgment. It eluded me, not because I didn't want to know what's happening, but I was also concerned with another matter where young activists just disappeared at the police station and there is no accountability of where they are. Despite safety of the Constitution of Zimbabwe guaranteeing the rights of a detained citizen
in custody. That is absolutely bizarre. Yeah, I echo your sentiments, Mr. Gono.
Yeah, we are sitting here today. Funny enough, one of the adopted of the missing people is a legislator, a lawmaker, someone who is supposed to a member of an arm of government.
So a direct attack on the Constitution by unlawfully, one yesterday, the police spokesperson apparently confirmed arrest, and then today the lawyer goes to find out where the clients are and are told that we want your clients for questioning. It's absolutely bizarre, and these are the things that we face with on a daily basis. So where do we go from here? Where is the problem, and what is the solution?
Hello?
I think we've lost Mr. Gono again.
Gono is disappeared.
Hello?
Hello, yeah.
Yes, I'm here.
Okay, I think
my line is very bad, but I'm here.
Miriam was just saying, what shall we do? Where do we start? And the conversation is an attempt to start somewhere. That you have to start accepting that we don't have shared understanding.
Right.
About what the role of government is and is not, what a constitution is and is not, whose constitution, because you may be shocked that the people in government think they have a better claim to deliver law and order. And we elect them to govern us.
Without a say.
To save us. And it comes from us. Because we are the very people who want government. The very people who want to be governed. If people say if the country or the people in the country are doing well, they give credit to Mr. Trump. Foolishly believing that Mr. Trump alone is a genius.
Holds our key to our happiness.
He accepts it. And there are people who actually want him to be a leader. Yet he's just a human being. So we have to appreciate that in the Ukraine, a comedian became a president. But there are people take themselves so seriously that they are learned, that so and so is qualified. Can you imagine last election, there were 23 talking heads. Some of them will, hey, I don't know, vomiting great ideas in their heads about a country they don't know. And proffering solutions for this and that, criticizing this and that, and saying that one has not gone to school. I went to school, I did this, I did that, presenting 4 CVs for a job that require no CV.
Do you agree with that, Mr. Gono? For a president, there's no need for a CV. There's no need to be a charmer like Chabisa or to be an annoying speech giver like ED.
Or to be a prolific like
like Mugabe.
who is replaced by a man with no speech.
From where I'm standing, without saying much, I think that is a bit subjective, but I will let it pass for the purpose of the debate. Otherwise, we'll end up having a really different discussion.
Right.
No, you say, William, my boy, you see, that's what these professors of reason and common sense do. They hide behind these class. And you know, I was talking to somebody, a lawyer, this just before this, and he was telling me, Mkoma, I like the show. Can we have a show on the philosophy or the morality of the rule of law?
Mhm.
So I said, hey, that's very interesting.
The morality of rule of law.
Are you going to be the moralist? And then who is going to be the moralist?
Who's going to set the bar?
The bar. Who is the expert on the rule of law?
On morality.
But there are many pop stars who take oaths to uphold and defend the rule of law. But once they take an oath, they have become unruly. And they call themselves presidents. And they have clear leaders who tell them, my friend, don't observe the rule of law. It doesn't apply to us. You are now the commander-in-chief. You are the protector of the unprotected, the voice of the voiceless.
But Mr. Mawere, can I ask you there?
I ask you,
are all those titles and powers not enshrined in the constitutions that we adopt and rule of law?
No, I'm saying its attitude determines the altitude, Eric. Because if I step on your toe deliberately, intentionally, willfully, and then I say I didn't do what you say I've done, and you are in pain, and you look at me, and you say, where is the next stone to finish this guy? Huh? Where is the stone for me to get even? Where do I start to build this temple of wisdom? So, Eric, it's not so difficult when we are converting it to rules of natural justice, to common sense, logic, and reason. If you wake up in the morning, Mr. Gono, right now I know you are holding an object called a cell phone. Imagine in the morning that cell phone is gone. It just got legs. But you don't know whose legs has caused the cell phone to go. And who actually carried it, because it started in the mind, that thing, I can use it. Then I take it away. Then 2 days later, you go to a cash and carry. You see me holding that object and talking to it. What would you do?
That's a complex one because I would then want a structure in terms of what in principle does that mean when I see a thief holding something that belongs to me. Do I just take the law into my own hands and grab it back? Do I leave you go there, go and report to someone to come and apprehend it from me? If you apprehend you from it, I don't know. It depends on the society. But you see that there is an issue of human instinct and the law.
But what kind of society? What kind of society do you want to live in? A society that is that will protect you, and the guy who is holding your phone would be disincentivized in holding it. Miriam, what kind of society do you want to live in? One where guy, you discover him holding a phone that looks like yours, and you discover it's indeed yours.
I want to be able to claim it. Hello, sorry. Shall I go?
There are no rules. What should you do?
Ooh,
And you are the question.
I will start making rules. I'll start making rules in my favor right away. There are no rules, so it's game on. Am I
and no carry and finish.
Yeah, that'll be quicker.
I might want a world like that small community in Eastern Cape of South Africa called Orania.
Yeah.
They've got no such.
Orania, yeah.
No such. Orania, yeah. Where they've got no such.
No, they have rules inside Orania. It's a republic.
No. Yes, I'm saying that there are rules and the people in it are so perfect that they don't have kids.
That's right.
They don't have.
No, they don't have legs.
Because there's no legs in that society.
There are no blacks.
That's a community of. So it's an issue of black people then.
That's what they are saying in Orania, that don't bring a black man here. Yes. Something will go wrong.
So I'm wondering, so are we now then saying the wrong is something, some sort of a DNA component of black people?
No, I'm just saying you chose the wrong example. I just wanted to remind you that.
I was using it in the context of a perfect world.
No. There's no consensual sex there between a black man and a white person or a black woman. They will finish you there. So do you want a society where you can report to the police and phone the police to come and apprehend the person, and the court the law would then take its course? Or do you want a society where you take the law into your own hands and you help yourself to it? These are the choices that you have to make.
Mm.
You want a society where you call the president to intimidate those who have stolen from you so that you are inadequate to assert your rights in an open and transparent manner? What kind of society do you want? Where you live in glass houses and others live elsewhere. So the choices we make are the choices that create the society that we live in. If we glorify, celebrate, and salute somebody who says, I am the law, then the next thing is there is no order, because everybody will follow and will adopt the same logic. So when we talk about examples, you read the judgment, and you know who is representing the applicant. Is a person with initial T, and the last name is BT for the applicant. And Nyangwa is for the first respondent. And you know who the first respondent is, it's KEBS. Uriri is representing the Reserve Bank. And the Minister of Finance is represented by Ms. Macheka. And the order is, give a man what is due to him. If it means 142,000 US dollars, give him 142,000 US dollars. Don't give him RTGS.
An alternative.
That is unconstitutional. It's invalid. So whatever issued is of no force and effect from the date it was issued. Some people say it's moot. The fun is gone, my friends. Some will say it's academic. Please. Gono, just get over it. And you go to your bank account, you see some funny animal called RTGS.
Funny animal.
Huh? Miriam, what would you do?
Dopa no pinda no carry, eh? Because the rules are being broken.
No, but Advocate Pete is defending the Mashavira of this case. And he gets the judgment. And people are saying, no, it must not be observed. The government has no money anyway, so it's not anyway. Why did you go to court to assert a right that is dead? Imagine that is the outcome. And people carry stones.
My question there, Mr. Mawere, before we dig deep into that is, in as much as we're in a society that we all agree that we need rules, laws, and the mechanism of enforcing them. The question that always comes, and in my view, the reason that we are in a situation where we are in today is because in as much as we have those rules agreed upon, we have a challenge with the referee, the person who interprets those rules.
You are already an expert. You are now a professor. I'm just saying the facts of the matter is Mr. Gono, you wake up one day, you go to $142,000. And in the morning, you find your shit. There is now some animal called arat or a bond note or bond coin, whatever you call it. Mr. Gono, talk to me about
that is where I would start the question. How did the animal in my bank account change from an ox to a donkey?
Yeah, now you're talking.
That is the paramount question right there.
So now you are talking as a human being affected by...
In the midst of that inquiry, I am told to Tora why yako yende kutare kunotongwa negere.
Mapenda mbiriche anai. Isungoti unembuzi waupu wa mangi. Huh? And the guy says you want to go to heaven. Huh?
Obviously, the natural step would be to question.
No. You know what the founding fathers of America did when they wrote the Constitution. You know what they did? They inserted and they called it amendment. The Second Amendment. Maybe Miriam, you lived in the US. You know what the Second Amendment provides for?
The right to to bear arms.
The right to bear arms. We shoot that idiot.
The right to not carry.
What is that decree? That directive, that it was passed by a human being. Instead of going to court, you know what I'll do?
Mm-hmm.
I just take my gun.
And you deliver that justice yourself.
Did you know that, Mr. Kuhn?
Yes.
That I can't hire a lawyer to... Oh, you are saying it's capitalist. I can imagine what a communist looks like in you.
If that's the capitalist.
Mr. Gono, imagine you've worked hard to acquire this property called cash. And like you, a man of flesh, decides they need that cash more than you do. And they give you an price of your cash. And they tell you, you must be happy. Hello, yeah, we have Mrs. Mupambi. How are you? So that is the challenge, Mr. Gono, that sometimes we talk about constitutionalism in the abstract without speaking to our own reaction. Is that correct? Yeah.
The connection seems...
He's a communist, I guess, because when you have a communist, he's trying to find the ideological arguments while hiding.
Before I came, he's back.
I'm here. I'm listening. Mr.
Never argue with the communists, it will not end.
When I said it in the beginning that for the purposes of going forward, some of the discussion, I'll try as much as possible to remain objective on the initial discussion, otherwise the discussion will not end.
No, I can just.
No, I'm hearing what you say.
I can just say you are a genius at keeping quiet when your for morality is being called to question.
No, actually, I thought Mrs. Mupambi was coming through.
I don't think, speak your mind, whether she's coming or she's not coming.
No, you being I was.
Huh? No, just go ahead. We will catch up with her. She's reconnecting. I think she's got a network problem in Zimbabwe. So, do you see the challenge of constructing a future with ideology in it?
Well, it's when looking at the future and looking at ideology, it's informed by desires. So if we go to the scenario of me walking into a place where I recognize my phone in the hands of somebody to whom it does not belong, and I'm pretty confident and certain that it is my phone, to construct a future or to plan for a future society in which that person that's taken my phone or that I believe to have taken my phone and I can live in, there's gotta be one has gotta overpower the other, because that other person might be wanting to make rules, or their idea is always be able to get away with murder or to get away with theft, as it were. So how do we bridge that, or how do we merge those ideas into a common ideology that then gives the identity where, for example, if we say America, what is America?
Now you're becoming a president.
Now I'm becoming a president. But I want to, if I'm going to do it on my own, then there's no point.
A simple example that here you have a property. Your sense of morality is enough. You don't even have to compound it.
But then my own sense of morality, Mr. M, that's where the issue of morality comes in. Our morals differ. Someone's morality.
Without talking about those who.
So my morality would want to always protect my own rights, my rights and that of the next person. My actions.
This is your property. Somebody has acquired without your knowledge and consent. Yeah. And what kind of society? There are different options.
Right.
One society is where the big man, you report to him and he's going to amputate that guy so that never. Another society is where you go to a police station and open a docket, your complaint, and it will be investigated, and you assist the police with that evidence you just stumbled upon. There are different kinds of moralities. So all you can express is your own sense of outrage. because we are in a platform where years from now, they want to hear Miriam speaking, not a ghost Miriam. Represent.
This is the challenge I think that we have in because we're not at the beginning of society, we're in the middle of it.
I am, not we. We are
well, you too. Yes, I am, but we, the people on this
I give it a conversation.
we're not Adam and Eve.
No, we are not here. We are not here to start arguments.
No, start a new thing. No, I'm saying my morality, obviously, I express my morality, but I cannot express it in a vacuum. That's not informed by.
Introducing another quality test.
No, I'm speaking to my current scenario where I'm already in the middle of a society that informs my morality. So my morality is it's almost fluid.
A specific question, and that's what where civilization, that instead of addressing the question in the script, answer the question that I want to pose.
But then whose civilization are we referring to now?
No, I'm just saying it's a conversation, not a civilization. Right now, we have 3 people who are talking about the Lion King. We are talking about human beings. And you want us to escalate it to another little corner and address.
No, I'm speaking of my reality and my morality. That it's not hanging. It's in the middle of something else that's happening already. So.
No, I'm saying that's where Mr. Gono, maybe you can finalize.
Well, in my view, or in my kind of society, I would want a situation where I can get an opportunity to have the person who has got my device in their hands and myself get before a judge whilst I make my claims of the device being mine, and the person on the other side gets an opportunity to defend themselves in a free, fair environment whereby I am not intimidated, neither is the other side, until we arrive at a consensus of who between the involved parties is the actual owner of the device, and is, of course, it being mine and having disappeared in a way that I did not consent to, a little punishment being given to the person who later found in possession of what I believe to be mine.
So that's one, at least that's a viewpoint that we got to have, and I must go to a judge who is independent and impartial. I don't want to have a judge who is a friend of the guy holding my device.
We have a look, my love.
Everyone has got a price.
Into another. We just wanted to open a conversation around values, whether we have a shared value around same things that we can agree upon. We may not always agree, but sometimes when we talk, we compound ourselves into others. We express the difficulties of getting neutrality, independence, impartiality, yet it's possible that human beings can preside over a matter where they have no interest at all. either in the victim or in the perpetrator. So a nation of rules protects that guy who may be the weak person in the chain, yet is a victim. And we need to be able to do something. And we need to be able to think outside the box and be able to test our sense of outrage against things that we can share. Simple examples. A car, you wake up in the morning, somebody's borrowed it while you are asleep. And you find the guy driving your car, and you ask him, what's going on? He says, no, but I've been borrowing the car without your knowledge for the last year. And I'm sorry I didn't return it to you earlier so that you won't catch me. But we've been sharing this car. And you call it theft. He says, no, it's borrowing. Because I know you were asleep and I didn't prejudice you. So one of the elements of theft, prejudice, is not met. So I go to court and say, this guy stole. I say, no, I couldn't have stolen. Because if I stole, you would know immediately I've stolen. But when you leave the car in a carport, you are also opening the car to abuse by others. So when I am using it, I'm actually helping the car to do the job that it was created for. And in that civilization, you go to a judge, and the judge says, no, it was borrowed. He borrowed the car. Relax, my friend. Get over it. Don't get too angry, because we are here to bridge the divide between you and the borrower. What would you do? Then imagine you were a member of the MDC like Mr. Eric Gono, and then you present two guys, one called Coupe, one called Chamisa. He will throw you out with a hammer to say, my friend, there was no stolen. Understand what this is all about. So we have different interpretations of the rule of law and its limits. So until we reconcile them, we can never get perfection. A glass may be half full, it also may be half empty. So on that score, Mr. Gono, you can summarize. I know I've touched on it. The moment I mention two characters that are looming large on your radar screen, then you're bound to...
As a matter of fact, there is no hammer. It's just like an example that I said earlier, whereby mbudzi inoenda kunotongwa nepere. It's a clear case. Even need to go that far, but because bere riri kuda nyama, it becomes the impartiality of the referee vanishes. But probably it's a discussion for another day. I would have loved to hear Mrs. Mupambi. We had earlier on said she wanted to touch on that issue. It was going to be interesting because I honestly and genuinely believe that in as much as the world is being misled to believe that there is impartiality or none of it, in the implementation of constitutions and rule of law, I think the charismatic Nelson Chamisa and team are very much on course in terms of the law.
All right, and Miriam, on your side?
I just want to say I'm always giving examples, as I've done earlier, of a society where rule of law works, even when there is chaos. Like the whole world is in COVID chaos at the moment, but still, I live in a society where it recognizes that I've been paying my taxes and recognizes that COVID is providing limitations, and here's what we can do for you as a citizen, rather than as a society that says, "Oh, gimme, 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 gimme," so that we can take care of the dictators among you. So it is a passion of mine that one day I will live to see the positive results of the shows like this one, Mr. M. And Mr. Gono, you continue to provoke conversation and to participate. Um, as a capitalist, a communist, and a socialist in one. So, which is welcome. We're in the constant quest to define and redefine ourselves as per agreed norms of a particular era. But I just want to appreciate you, Mr. Mawere, for continued conversations on things that matter, things that people may shy away from conversing on for fear of being labeled munhu waningi. Kuti uri wachamisa here kana kuti wakupe uri waED here kana kuti the latest one I saw wamutsvangwa naSB Moyo here. So thank you for letting voices be heard and creating a footprint that we will want to reference someday in the near future, hopefully. And thank you to the listeners and viewers that make it worthwhile with their comments.
Thank you, thank you. And Mr. Gono, you've already closed your side.
Except to thank you, Mr. Mawere, for the platform. Thank you for my wish is that we take it up, we exhaust it a bit more with a bit of specifications and examples, practical examples that we can dwell on to give it more sense, to give it more shape. Other than that, thank you very much. Thank you, viewers. Thank you for the comments, for the support for the program. Good night.
No, thank you. And if you are listening out there, you can give format, you can give campus to what you wish to be discussed. Some examples are too risky for anyone to talk about. And yet, in them, there are important lessons that can be learned. Some don't want to learn from what they've experienced. They want to point fingers at others for the mischief that they are experts in. So how do we build societies where there's tolerance, there's acceptance of content, there's acceptance of context? That's where constitutionalism starts. It starts with you, it starts with me. So let's celebrate constitutionalism. The rule of law, it is the only of that person who doesn't have the power they don't have to be the aggressor. Every victim deserves an audience, and the court has an obligation to deal with such disputes. So thank you until we meet again.
Thank you, Mr. M. Have a good night.
Okay, bye-bye.